Hey guys, and thanks for checking in at Zero Pettifoggery, sir. This is episode 4. As you might have noticed, there was no episode on Friday, May 15th. Um, Long story short, I am in the middle of moving my office as well as my home and have been packing, cleaning, trying to manage completing some work and staying on top of things, and unfortunately recording clips and researching some great topics for you was not the priority. But we're going to be back at it this week, and hope you're excited for some of the information I got for you. Here goes.
Hey guys, Sunday, May 18th, about 8:30 at night. Wanted to come to you guys with a quick little update. Was a little absent last week because I was moving from Pompton Lakes to Wayne. I had a great crew of people that helped me out, a lot of good friends, and just getting settled into the new office, and still need to put up some artwork, give it a little bit of character, but it's getting there, so I'm pretty excited. But wanted to come to you guys with a quick little update, little informal update. Not absolutely brand new news for a lot of attorneys practicing the area, and definitely not any new news to somebody who has had a DUI or knows somebody who has a DUI. But back in August of 2019, the New Jersey State Legislature made some, on its face, what I would consider some common sense changes to the DUI laws when it comes to the punishments. So it's the first really big change that they've had in DUI legislation in over 40 years. Some might say that it was brought on by the companies that own Interlock, and you'll know why in a moment. But I think it plays a good part, but also I think it makes common sense for a lot of people. A DUI, as I always explain to my clients, is a very tough financial crime to commit, and most people might not think it is as big as it is. Then the money starts, and it's court fines and fees, it's attorney's fees, it's DMV surcharges, and possibly insurance premium hikes. So what they did, and I'll quote, is first-time offenders with a BAC of 0.08 to 0.10 must install an interlock ignition device at their own cost for use for 6 months. The license suspension is only 30 days. And second is for BACs of 0.10 to 0.15, you have to install the interlock ignition device at your own cost again. You're going to use it for 6 months up to a year, depending on the plea deal, the prosecutor's discretion on that plea deal, and the judge agreeing to that plea deal. The license suspension is only 45 days. Now, if you're higher than a 0.15, you must install the interlock at your own cost again. You're going to use it for 1 year to 18 months. Your license suspension is 90 days. And the other thing that they did was they included a mandatory interlock usage for a DWI refusal. You refuse to take the BAC test. So a lot of those things are going to become effective December of 2019, and they're in hand right now. I've handled a few cases since then, and truthfully, I'm a little bit excited about it. I know that there's way more language to this legislation than the immediate impact, but I do think that right now it's not crushing my clients in terms of their employment. You get that license suspension. The previous way it used to go is license suspension from anywhere from 4 to 7 months for the first offense. And you know what? What happens when you lose your license, especially in the state of New Jersey, you're not able to get public transit as easy in certain parts. You end up losing your job. You lose your job, you can't pay your fines, you can't pay your court costs, you can't pay your DMV, you lose your license, you're suspended again, and it just piles and piles on top. And I wish there was something better for us attorneys as defense attorneys to do, but the legislation truthfully laid out those punishments. So now with this edit, like I said, common sense, some very common sense things. You give someone a punishment, 30 days interlock. Hopefully it doesn't end up with you losing your license for too long of a period, but not losing your job for too long of a period. And that's the biggest part. A DWI is very much a financial crime for a lot of things. So quick update. I don't know if you guys know, but figured I'd give that information. Not brand new, but I always like to inform people, and if anybody asks. But of course, obviously, be safe out there. Do not be drinking and driving. We're in the middle of a quarantine, so I can't imagine you are. I know the drive is very long from your kitchen to your bedroom. Be safe. All right. Thanks, guys.
Friday, May 15th, about 6 p.m. Wanted to give you a little update. Over the past 2 weeks, I've been engaging with a potential client
regarding a small claims or special civil part lawsuit. The situation arose out of a contract that was very informal. There were really no produced documents in the contract. There were some promises made, there was deposits made, and in the end, the services were not provided, and for lack of a better term, the deposit was never provided back. Now, in this circumstance, we were dealing with a relatively small amount of money, but in the end, small amount of money in the legal realm doesn't necessarily mean a small amount of money to you, and that's kind of the most important thing. So, without getting the details on the situation, what most important lessons that I get out of situations like this is explaining to people a slightly nuanced aspect of the way I handle my practice. When someone comes to me with a circumstance or a case, they explain to me their circumstances, they explain to me, I ask a lot of follow-up questions, I do a lot of diagnosis, for lack of a better term, before I move forward. I want to get an understanding of the structure of your case, and most of that work is done under what I consider a consultation phase. I'm trying to determine the strength of your claims. So, in a lot of circumstances, the bottom line is, in the legal industry, the money is a major factor into whether or not people move forward with lawsuits. It's no secret that lawyers, as well as litigation, is very expensive, and determining whether or not there is enough cushion, for lack of a better term, between the amount of money that you're going to spend and the amount of money that you could possibly receive back is a very important analysis into litigation. If I told you that you had to sue somebody and it might cost you $1,500 to $2,000 to get your $3,000 back, chances are, despite all emotions in this circumstance, you probably would not move forward with that case. And so, when I discuss this with people, a lot of people say to me, "Listen, Dan, I talked to this other attorney, and he said to me, yeah, send me a check for this amount and I'll get to work." And not to be knocking on other attorneys or putting them down for the practices that they take in terms of accepting business, but in the end, even though this is my business, and obviously in a business, it's in my benefit to have clients. It's in my benefit to have people paying me. At the same time, the most important thing is that I have clients that are paying for something which is valuable, number one, and paying for something that they believe is absolutely necessary, and with a possible look into what may happen in the future and what amount of money they might get back. Those pros and cons, the risk and reward, is a very big measurement. So I say to people, yes, I certainly would take your money and file your lawsuit. I don't care. I know people say to me, I don't care how much money I spend. I just want this person to suffer. And they might be very emotionally involved in circumstances. And for me, it's, listen, a couple weeks down the line when that emotion dissipates, I want you to be happy with the decisions that you made and not begrudgingly paying me to move forward with a case which you now believe was a complete and total waste of time and money. And, so one of the biggest jobs as an attorney is to be objective, to be, unemotional, for lack of a better term, not biased and not overly involved in cases, to ensure that you can see it with a clear view and make these logical decisions. And so, I don't think it's something special that I'm doing. I just think that this is the way that it really should be when it comes to being a lawyer and a practitioner. And it's a very important thing to think about when it comes to pursuing your cases. In no way do I want to discourage people from moving forward with their cases, but the money is something that you need to keep in mind. In the end, our legal industry is only able to compensate people for certain things. And one of the biggest things that they use to compensate people is money. So I'm hoping that this little clip of information stays in your mind when you end up in circumstances, that you think might involve litigation. So thanks for listening. Hey guys, Monday, May 18th, and as you can see, I'm wearing my
one of my favorite shirts. You'll remember it from the first episode, all about the Age of Chivalry. That is my Special Olympics of New Jersey polar plunge team. Every year I do the polar plunge, going on, goodness, 9 years now. All in memory of Craig Hasher. Greggy, the brother to a very, very dear friend of mine, Sherry Hasher. Now goes by Sherry Van Dyke. Great cause. So a lot of you had asked me about the shirt and why I'm always wearing Age of Chivalry shirts. So that's the story. If you guys want to get involved, join the team, get in on the plunge, or donate, don't hesitate to reach out. Second thing is finally getting settled in the office, and wanted to come at you with a quick update. New Jersey legislature passed a bill, 1080, and it passed in late December of 2019 and very much flew under the radar. I had found out about it in the midst of a case in Wayne Township for the charge of possession of CDS, controlled dangerous substance, in a motor vehicle, just while driving, not under the influence or not consuming or anything like that, just being in possession of it. That is an offense in the state of New Jersey. So I was dealing with a case of this sort in Wayne Township. Luckily, was through some hard work and some investigation into the actual charges, was able to get the charges downgraded and get a favorable plea agreement, even with a motion to suppress in municipal court, which some of my attorney friends will know it's very rare for that type of motion practice to go through in municipal court. So New Jersey legislature in Bill 1080 came out with some information that essentially said they're going to rid this charge of the driver's license suspension. That's partially one of the biggest reasons why this charge was terribly frightening for a lot of clients who I've dealt with this violation with. There was a possibility, and I'm not saying that I've ever been involved in a case in which it was ever filled, but there was a possibility of a 2-year license suspension following conviction or plea agreement to a charge of possession of CDS in your motor vehicle. So pretty scary thought, lose your license for 2 years under those circumstances. But I think the New Jersey legislature has done that in reflecting of the changing of the tide regarding some of these, well, especially marijuana for one, but also a changing of the tide and kind of trying not to put people in circumstances where they deal with charges and their life is irreparably harmed following it. I also have another update about driver's license suspensions and DUIs that might be in this episode as well. They're trying to get rid of the driver's license suspension and trying to enact more common sense changes and punishments for particular charges that will allow people to keep their jobs, obviously keep a financial income, hopefully not affect an entire family for, one person's regrettable and very silly mistakes. So pretty interesting update. So I think I think some criminal defendants can rest assured now that that's removed, and you see the changing tide of no longer doing these driver's license suspensions or making them the key punishment. And I think I'm applauding the state of New Jersey's legislature for moving forward with this. So just a little bit of information. Have more coming up. Thanks.